Here at Devcon, Cursive is curating Cryptographic Connections, a museum exhibition highlighting the importance of cryptography and its role in advancing human connection. We've gathered artists, technologists, cryptographers, and everyone in between and asked them to share their perspective on what cryptography means to them and why they think it's so important for the future of society. Throughout this exhibition, we wanted to convey the feeling that the affordances of cryptography can provide. Because too often, technology is reduced to ones and zeros, bits and bytes, technical concepts that are inaccessible to the average person. Because we know that in order for advanced technologies like cryptography to be widely adopted, human beings must feel empowered by these technologies rather than reduced by them. That's why artists and creatives are going to play such an important role in helping us communicate this message to a wider audience.
You have NFC here?
Yeah.
Amazing.
I have NFC on my necklace, I have NFC on my card, I have NFC on my bracelet. We got the whole thing.
Your first name and NFC is your second name.
Yeah, exactly.
NFC cryptography.
Yeah.
So you can put it here, yeah?
Yeah.
Fuck, and if I have...
So what we've built is basically an NFC and cryptography experience where you can take an NFC chip like this, or a bracelet, or a ring.
I had a vision! I had a vision.
Say what?
I have a vision.
Yeah. So take your phone, flip it over. So just tap this to the top of your phone. It's gonna be right here, the reader. There you go. That NFC link right there. So this will link to our app experience, and you can set up an account, and then if you just put your socials, you can share that with other people on tap.
But underneath the hood, there's like a ton of cryptography stuff going on where everything you do in the app is fully private to you. Like your social graph, the data you import, no one else sees that. And basically there's a couple of different like ZK and multi-party computation experiences built in, exploring new ways of letting people like connect and share information safely.
Everything is built with cryptography, so everyone you meet, everything you do is fully private to you. And it's all built with like ZK and some like multi-party computation tools that explore new ways of letting people connect.
So another part of the sort of gamification to get people just trying the experience, importing data, was basically this like merch store. Very jank sign here, but essentially we had a couple of different like chipped items and different goods we were giving away for different numbers of taps in the experience. And another thing we did recently was like for one of the features in the app called PSI, or private set intersection. If people did that, we rewarded them with like more points because we wanted people to try other parts of the app that weren't just sort of tapping and sharing socials, getting into cryptography a bit more.
Awesome.
Yeah.
If they have like 80 taps, they can get 2 t-shirts.
What did she say?
Paula, what feelings arise from this piece of art here? Do you think this is a happy one? Okay.
What would be one word or emotion that you would kind of describe the feeling?
Catharsis.
Catharsis, okay, wow, amazing. Great, did you see the artworks?
I love this. Andrew gave me a brief overview.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you could walk me through how this uses ZK as a medium.
Yeah, so one of my goals was to really think, how can I bring programmable cryptography in a very accessible way, like very, maybe an unusual context that we usually perceive it. So how can I link it to like intuition, to emotions, to something accessible to maybe like the non-technical folks, who would be maybe here at the conference and stuff. Sure. Every day, I'm usually creating an artwork that expresses some emotion, expresses some thought, some feeling. And as the viewer, you don't know what that emotion is that inspired each one of these artworks. So that is a secret. But you are invited as a viewer to just come here, scan the QR code. You get essentially linked to this website, which is very simple. It says, like looking at this artwork, what do you feel? And then you can actually kind of think for a second, get in touch with your own inner world and say, okay, I think maybe this represents love for me. Or that's the feeling that's coming up. And then you get transferred to this other page, which shares with you a couple of very exciting things. So one is how many other people felt the same emotion as you. So you can see like 2% of other people also felt love. And then also you can see a pie chart of the diverse expression of emotions that other people felt while they're being still like concealed. You cannot know what those emotions are, but you can just see visually the diversity of things that a single artwork triggers in so many people. So it just really kind of highlights almost this paradox of using ZK for a verifiable truth, context where the truth is highly subjective, like art.
Thanks.
Can you tell me about it?
Yeah, when I was first asked by Cursive to do this piece, I thought a lot about what Cursive represents. And to me, Cursive is all about sort of like building connections and data sovereignty. And so I thought a lot about the sort of invisible threads that tie people together. And so I came up with the idea of the infinity loom, you know, the invisible hand that connects people. Yeah, and also just like being in a Buddhist country and seeing altars everywhere, it made me reflect on if the ideas that we give power to become gods. Like that's, you know, deities are just embodiments of concepts. So like how can we enshrine the cryptographic God in humanist values? And so that's what I wanted to do, is just like get people to reflect upon that and, you know, write it on the ribbons and tie the ribbons here, kind of like sort of really thinking about your values and making them conscious.
I mean, we came at this from a bunch of different angles. Like Andrew told me about the whole museum experience that you were doing to try and like highlight cryptographic connections and like bringing a bit more the human aspect. It's super nice that you guys are building this thing to make connection with other humans. So I thought the best that I can do to sort of contribute to this story and experience that you have here is to show at least the humans that helped us get here. And so the point of this whole exhibit was to try and highlight a bit all the papers and the scientific work that was done in order to get us to, well, co-snarks and ultimately to this sort of experience. And I think I wanted to bring people on a bit of a journey, like to try and explain MPC from the beginning, like from the 70s through the 80s and 90s, and then like from the 2000s to now. And I think with like one nice thing that you guys do is that you try to explain to people like, this is like private and this is a private set intersection. Here you're generating a snark and here's a commitment and we send a hash there, whatever. So you try to explain, and I think this is super nice to get people to actually understand what's going on.
Like, symbiotic crypto.
It's like one tap. Actually, it's one way.
Me and my ex-wife.
Wow, okay. Yeah, like maybe it's good that this stuff is anonymized, you know, like too much information in here, you know.
How did you come up with this?
So I was asked to create a visualization of all the dependencies of the node packages in the DAT ecosystem as a way to sort of like show the human relationships that are wrapped up in software, in open source software development. As I was building it, I realized that there were a lot of projects that could benefit from having a nice, easy to use graph visualization. And I kind of want to build something that's like almost like a web browser, but for graph data. So it would be a toolkit for making easy to use visualizations of relational data, like graph data. When I was asked to do this experiment, I was like, okay, this is a chance to iterate on the stuff that I made, and so I jumped on it. Yeah.
Nice to meet you. So this game is called Steal the Flag. The goal of the game is to scan your passports, generate a zero knowledge proof on top of your passport data, and send it to this application. By generating this zero knowledge proof, you are going to verify the signature of the passports, which means that it's going to assert that it's a real one, and you are going to disclose only one thing, which is your issuer country. And by doing so, you are going to prove to the game that you own a valid passports and your nationality too. And what's going to happen is that when the game is going to receive the zero knowledge proof, it's going to change the country flag in the background by the one of your issuer country. And with that, it's going to play your national anthem. So if you're proud of your country, you should play this game.
Hi, my name is Justin Malolo. I'm the founder and CEO of Mona. Cryptography, what does cryptography mean to me? It means a few things. I think about privacy, security, digital human rights, true digital asset ownership, and I think specifically for what we're doing at Mona, I think it's all about empowerment for creators, developers, and users.
Awesome, and if you could also tell us how you've incorporated cryptography into this exhibit.
Sure. So this is an exhibit called Ethereum Artifacts. Basically, we have produced 5 digital objects that are tokenized as one-of-ones on Ethereum. They're viewable through the Monaverse marketplace. It's at monaverse.com. And basically, what we're showcasing here is the intersection of blockchain and spatial computing, where you can actually pull these one-of-one NFTs out of the web browser, and you can decorate your environment with them. And so, these are actual tokenized objects that are on Ethereum.
So what accessories are next? That's what I want to know. What vision do you have that I don't see yet?
I had a vision!
I have a lot of ideas that are strictly off camera.
So now that the Cryptographic Connections Museum exhibition is coming to a close, is there anyone that we want to give a shout out to for helping to make this happen?
Definitely. Big shout out to Tessa and Steven for their amazing support on the museum exhibition and the app experience. To Althea and Sam from PSE for seeing the vision and their support. And to Janine and Timur from Edge City for creating an amazing container for technologists and artists to come together in a meaningful way. Thank you to all of the volunteers and exhibitioners as well. Now that DevCon's over, what is next for us at Cursive?
So we're really set on this technology, not just being something that's demoed and used at conferences and small events. We really believe that everyone could benefit from getting to wield this. In particular, we see a world in which people can own more of their own data and their social graph, and they can put out these sort of like lightweight, discrete signals about who they are, what they want, that can help them sort of like match and coordinate with different groups of people. Kind of akin to like a digital version of pheromones that we can put out. And in a world where loneliness is on the rise, we think that this kind of technology can help create a lot more serendipity and genuine human connection.